Buenas a todos, ¿cómo están? Bueno, estamos acá en un nuevo podcast. Hoy lo tenemos a Adam Taylor y hoy va a ser un poco diferente porque todos los videos que ustedes están acostumbrados a ver son hechos en español, que es mi lenguaje nativo, y hoy decidí hacer este video a pesar de que me daba un poco de nervios porque nunca hice un podcast en inglés y tampoco lo subí, así que decidí exponerme a mí mismo y enfrentarme a mis miedos, así que vamos a hacerlo. Hey Adam, how are you? It's a pleasure to have you here, man.
Doing very well, thank you. Thanks for the intro. And I just told you beforehand, your English is fine, man. You'll crush it. You'll crush it. Don't you worry.
Okay, I'm gonna try. So, Adam, how will you present yourself?
Starting with the deep philosophical questions, huh? Just a bag of meat flying through the universe on a rock with no importance, nowhere to go, nowhere to be.
Yeah.
No, I'd say in the context of this podcast, obviously, I've been in the high ticket sales space now for a good 3.5 years. I was born in England, raised in Spain. My first job out of school was a professional rugby player. Played in France for a few years. When I finished that, I got into the gym industry. I had a couple of CrossFit gyms. I competed in CrossFit. And then I started coaching CrossFit gym owners in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland just before somebody ate a bat in China and shut my whole target market down for a good 1.5 years. And so I battled through COVID with that, lost that business through COVID, and found my way into high ticket sales from there. And since then, wow. I've been setter, DM setter, closer. I've been very fortunate to coach hundreds of reps. I've managed an offer from 300K to just under $1 million in 5 months. This last year, I've been managing multiple different accounts in a done-for-you sales agency that we're running. And as of very recently, pursuing a new venture, a new opportunity, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot more in this podcast.
Okay, awesome, man. I love it. So the first question, I want to start from the beginning of beginning.
Go for it.
What does it mean to you to be a closer?
So there are titles and identities. Those are two different things. I might have the title of a closer because that's a generally used word that if I use it, people can understand and have some context as to what I do. But then there's an identity as to who I perceive to be myself. And so obviously a closer is the function of being able to insert yourself between marketing and fulfillment of a company and have a conversation with someone to transfer them from being curious to a client. That's being a closer, or that's having the title of a closer. What it means in terms of being someone, I feel like it's probably the strongest and the most powerful personal development tool that's out there. It's certainly the highest paying that I know, and I think it's something that people can get into to be able to. Sorry, clean is coming in at the worst time. But I think it's a personal development tool that a lot of people fall into for one reason, being money, some level of autonomy, being able to work remote, time freedom, that's a whole topic in itself. But I think what we then get out of it is the personal growth and the personal development, using sales as a mirror and being confronted with certain insecurities, fears, identities of being attached to outcomes and money, and then they go through this whole journey of being able to start detaching from that and focusing more internally on the skills that you're developing and the process that you're going through. And so I think you can have the title of a closer. What it means to the individual, then I've seen patterns, but for me personally, I think it's going on a very powerful personal development journey that pays very freaking well.
Wow, man. I see in exactly same way. It's like a personal path, at least. Adam, why do you think that in the last years it has become more important, maybe than other years, the closer role?
When you say important for who?
For the market, I say, because nowadays you know that everybody or most of the people know what is being a closer. But
Right.
if you maybe go back 10 years ago, maybe you say, I'm a closer, and
Mhm.
people look at you like, what is that?
Okay, got it. So it's increase in sort of popularity and awareness and people knowing what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think there's a market for it. And so, of course, companies and offers want to grow, they want to scale. Therefore, the founder at some point has to stop taking the sales calls themselves. And so their immediate reaction is, okay, well, let me get someone else in with a skill set that can mirror or kind of at least, follow my results.
Yeah.
And so there's a market for it from the companies, but I think the real growth in the last year or two has not actually come from those companies. It's actually come from the people who profit from helping those closers earn more money, earn higher commissions, increase their skill set, find better offers. And so they say that the people that make the most money in a gold rush are those selling the shovels, not the ones looking for the gold.
Yeah.
And I feel that closers may get into the remote sales space to be able to earn higher commissions, have some level of autonomy, and at least in location freedom. But if nobody else were marketing this opportunity, it would have stayed a small sort of almost underground movement. But then if you have a sales trainer promoting and marketing to new audiences, to cold audiences, if you have someone who helps people transition into the remote space, then that's going to bring more people into the space, and more people and more people and more people, which is then going to make this very saturated over here. And it's become statistically increasingly harder to find good opportunities, to have fulfillment, to hit the income goals that a lot of people came into the industry for. And I think that's down more, not so much from the companies themselves looking for closers, but those profiting from people wanting to become closers.
Okay. Awesome. For you, what is like the most important thing, the most important mindset or framework to succeed in sales? So what is that's 3 keys that you believe that you have to have, yes to have really good result, not average?
Yep. Self-responsibility is the first one. And it's a double-edged sword. It's hard to get the balance right. But you have to have a base of, I take responsibility for my actions, for my outcomes, for my results or lack thereof. And I take responsibility for making changes or investing or not into taking the steps or achieving the goals that I'm looking to achieve. Now, the reason I say it's a double-edged sword and that there's a balance to be found is that I have worked with a lot of closers that have taken this to such an extreme to where they will not take responsibility. They will blame themselves at times and ignore other factors that may be at play. And so, for example, I did some market research very recently. I interviewed 19 closers, and they all got into the industry with the goal of hitting 20 to 30K months. The audience that I spoke to had been in sales for 3.6 years on average. And according to what they told me, that some people have questioned this, but I can only go on what they told. I didn't look at their bank accounts, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They told me that on average, I made the calculations afterwards. They were earning on average $10,500 per month, and they were working 9 hours on average to do so. And so they may take full responsibility for the results or lack thereof. But what if there are factors at play in the industry, in the market, that are making it increasingly harder to earn 20 to 30K months by working 4 to 5 hours a day?
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a balance to be met, I think, with that. But for me, that's the very, very first, is somebody who can take responsibility and take on and be accountable to themselves for not blaming anyone. And that would be the second one, is just not complaining. It goes hand in hand. But the second attribute is being able to just not complain and not whine and not moan, because nobody cares. It doesn't help. It never fixed anything.
Yeah.
It's like getting angry in an argument. It never won the argument.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so powerful.
Just doesn't help. And And the third attribute I would say is just being very, very connected to why you're doing it. And I think that's important for longevity and long-term success, because and everything is hard in life. Being broke is hard. Being stuck is hard. You know, building a business is hard. Going and being a closer is hard. Learning sales is hard. Everything's hard. But if you really know why you're choosing this path, why you're choosing this hard, if you have a good, strong why, I find it gets you through the harder times and the tough times a little bit easier. So that's, I think, self-responsibility, never complain, never whine, and just having a good solid North Star that you're working towards.
Awesome. I love it. And this is a really good topic to talk, the self-responsibility, because like you say, there is a limit.
Yep.
How do you find your self-limit? Because all the people is telling you, well, if you close or not is absolutely your responsibility. And that is at some point a fact, you know, but at another point it's not a fact, because you cannot control if it's going to rain or not. So at the same point, it happened on the call. So what is the limit for you, Adam, to know where are you just failing because of your abilities, or is because business or the offer or whatever?
So honesty with yourself, it's very hard. It's a very, very hard skill. It sounds simple. Well, of course, I mean, you know, just be honest with myself. But what does that mean? How do I know if I'm actually? And so honesty with myself for me comes down to, am I actually doing everything that I can every single day to achieve the outcome that I want? And if I can tick that box off and I'm still not there, maybe there's a factor outside of this that I'm just not seeing, that I'm not looking at. But the question, am I doing everything I can? That's a very hard one to answer, because we always feel like we could do more. The marketing certainly tells us that we could be doing more. The sales trainers are certainly telling us we could be doing more. But I think if I'm on an offer, for example, and I want to hit 20K a month, and nobody else has ever hit 20K a month on that offer, well, I can train, role play, watch calls, get feedback. I can study the market. I can conduct market research interviews. I can watch all the YouTube videos. I can understand the avatar. I can understand I can go through the product myself. I can do all of these things. But is the mathematics of the business set up in a way where I can realistically achieve that goal? Yeah. And so there is potentially a factor there where I can put all of my efforts into doing this and eventually potentially still not achieve the outcome. And so then I have to ask myself the question, well, am I just in the right environment? Is this seed in the right plant pot to grow as big as I want it to? And so I think that on the honesty with yourself is key, but then looking at, okay, is this just mathematically possible right now, what I'm doing? Yeah. In the environment that I'm in.
Wow. That is so powerful, man. Yeah, it's true. I believe that. Yep. For example, what is the biggest mistake that closer make in a call, and because of that, they don't close for you?
I don't know about the biggest one. I don't know if there is, if it's possible to draw it down to one. I do know that there's 3 levels of skill that I've seen across all of the 150 plus reps I've coached and trained and managed and been a part of their journeys. And the first level of skill is knowing what to say, which questions to ask, knowing which words to use and which ones not to use. That's the first level of skill. If you don't have that, you're going to hop on a call and be like, I don't know where to go with this now, do I? Right? So if I know what to say, I have a framework, I have a script, whatever you want to call it. You know, I want to split hairs on
a script also. For example, Adam, sorry I interrupt you, just to understand. Are you agree to work with a script at first and then not, or you are not agree with using a script?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when we learn to ride a bicycle, we have the little stabilizers on.
Yeah.
The first time we cook, we follow a recipe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so 100%, I would always recommend starting there and understanding a script, or at the very least a framework when we're starting out to follow, that emulates the actions of people that have been successful, right? But that's the base level. That's like level number 1. Now, level number 2 is really understanding deeply why you are asking those specific questions, why you're using this word and not this word, and really understanding why you're using those because of the response that you're trying to elicit from the prospect.
Yeah.
Once you do that, level 1 becomes very easy. And now I can start moving away from following a rigid script because I have multiple ways of getting the right answer and getting the response that I want. For example, if I know you have a bottle of water next to you and I know I want you to pass me the bottle of water, I can say it in a million different ways. I know what I want you to do. Yo, pass me that water. Hey, the bottle of water next to you, see it? Can you just slide it over, please? Hey, Axel, do you mind just passing that water over? I can just go on and on and on and on because I just know the response that I want.
Yeah.
So that's the second level. The third level, and the highest level of skill that I've seen in a closer, is really deeply understanding what they're hearing. And it's a tough one to train. It's a tough one to teach. It's easy to coach. It's hard to teach. So what I mean by that is, if I were just to make a course on how to do it without ever speaking to someone and giving feedback in specific situations, it would be very generic and very, very vague. I can coach it in a situation where we're reviewing a call and say, you see when that person said that, what's going on behind what they say is this. They're thinking this. They see the world this way. What they're not saying is this. If a closer can hear that, and if they listen hard enough, what you hear is people's mindsets. Once you can get to that level, you can speak to the conversation that they're having in their head. You can speak to the things that they're not saying and have a really powerful and true conversation that's not jaded by the things that they say, but actually speaking to what they think. And so I'm kind of flipping the question a little bit to understand those are the things that are important. I don't know what the one mistake is that people make in achieving that, but I do know we need to get to that point to be able to really, really have a good, deep understanding of sales and be able to have a good connection, good conversation with someone. So maybe the big mistake is just not listening hard enough. But again, I can listen hard enough. I can listen to the words, but if I just don't understand what's happening behind those words, that's gonna be tough. And I think that comes down to emotional intelligence, general understanding of psychology, just living life a little bit and being around different people and being around weird situations and weird people and just understanding how humans work and, you know, having a general like life experience and not just locked in my room on Zoom watching these calls all day. I think they all play a part. But that maybe that's the biggest mistake, is just not listening hard enough and listening to what's going on behind.
Okay. And also I think that there is the way that you show up to the call is also important. What do you think about this?
Yeah, 100%. So my first job out of school was I played professional rugby for 9 years. I played international rugby for the Spanish national team. And so when leaving that, and then I competed in CrossFit, I was a high-level athlete there. And so getting into sales, I was like, oh, shit, this is just like professional sports.
Yeah.
You train, you practice, you rest, you play, you perform, you analyze, you recover, you train again. I was like, this is the same shit. And so in sports, if you're playing rugby, if you turn up tired, if you turn up thinking about other things, if you turn up in your head, if you turn up without a clear outcome and clear intention for the game, you're fucked. Like, you're getting hurt. And you're going to let a lot of people down around you. And so how you show up, I think that is obviously a baseline as well. But then we've got to get tactical. Okay, so what does that mean? Does it mean I've got to, you know, smash my head against the wall and fucking pump myself up in the mirror? Personally, I did that in the beginning. It doesn't help with energy. So if I listen to like a pump up song or a fucking dance or something like that, like some people do to get like energized and that, the problem is my energy is being spiked and it's going to crash, and then I've got to bring it up again and down again and bring it up again. And that's when I end the day of calls exhausted and tired and I'm battered, right? And so the key for me was keeping my energy neutral throughout the day to be able to maintain that energy. And that comes down to just very, very simple pre-call intentions, some things that I might write down, and being myself. What I mean by being myself, if I'm trying to emulate and sound like my sales trainer, if I'm trying to sound like the top performer, if I'm trying to use the words that they would use, I'm constantly trying to be someone that I'm not. Being someone that I'm not is very, very hard. Actors will act for a scene and then they'll shut down. Or method actors just become that person. So now who's to say they're not being who they are? Because they literally are that person, right? And so for me, just being myself, the way I'm talking to you now is the way I talk to everybody. I swear, I'm a bit bland, I'm a bit blunt sometimes. But if I just show up like that, I can at least have a genuine, honest conversation with someone, and they can feel that, and they can maybe open up and be genuine and honest with me because they feel that I'm not being fake. So why should they?
Yeah, absolutely. At first, I think that maybe when you don't know anything, just to not copy, but to follow the process or the step from people who achieve what you want is good. But after you, I don't know how to say, you integrate this inside you, you have just to let it go and be who you are.
Correct.
At that point.
I agree. I think you should model success. You should, what do they call it? There's a rhyme for it. I can't remember. But I think you should model success first, but just be mindful that once you've mastered that first level of skill, and now you're moving on to the second level of understanding why you're asking what you're asking, just be you. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You'll be good. It's okay. It's just, you just got to get to that point, I think.
Awesome. For people who is not a closer, this podcast, I think they're gonna listen by people who is actually a high ticket closer, or people who is not a closer, or who is trying to be a closer maybe in the future. So what is the basic structure of a sales call, of a real good sales call? Well, what is that information that you need to take from that call to make a sale for you?
Good question. Of course, it's going to depend on the offer, the avatar, the product. It's whether it's, you know, something to a 9-to-5 sort of avatar who's never invested themselves before. If it's to a higher level investor who's invested in multiple different things, it's going to vary wildly. Let's make it more in the context of more of a lower educated or somebody who's invested in themselves less often, on an offer that's maybe like a skill acquisition offer, so like a coaching offer, like learning how to get into remote sales, right? So essentially we need to first and foremost, we need to know why they're there. We need to know why they're there in two ways. We need to know what is the goal that they have, and what is it about the current situation that they don't want. So that's going to give me why they're there. What do you want? What do you don't want? I like to then ask what they're currently doing to get to that outcome. If they are currently actively doing something about it, I need to find out, well, can they just do that get the outcome? Because then they don't need me, and then I don't need to sell them, and I shouldn't sell them because they don't need me. But if they are doing something and it's not working, I need to create doubt and get them to realize, well, that's not working. That's not getting me the result as quickly as I'd like. So I probably need to make some small changes.
Wow.
If they're not actively doing anything about it, I can just be a bit more rhetorical and say, well, probably going to have to make some changes, then, aren't we? And I'm going to sum up that part of the call with, but why now? Which is going to create what we call urgency in the industry. It's not going to create it. It's because I can't create it. I can't fabricate what's not there, but it's at least going to reveal it, for not just for me, but for the prospect sometimes.
For the prospect,
they haven't had this conversation with themselves. Nobody's talked to them like this. Nobody's asked them these questions. And so if I find out, what do you want? What do you not want? What are you currently doing about it? Is it working? Yes, no. If not, well, why do you want to make that change now? That should unveil or reveal a slightly deeper, because I'm tired, because I'm sick, because I'm fed up, or because it's been too long, etc., etc. Then from there, what I want to do is find out what the material goal that the top side of the equation, that material goal is going to mean to them emotionally. And on the flip side after that, I'm going to find out what happens if they stay on the bottom side of the equation, if they still say this, and what that's going to mean to them emotionally. So for those watching and not just on the audio, essentially I've stretched a gap like this with, what do you want? What do you don't want? But we're probably going to be surface level and material here. And when I get to the point of asking them, what's that going to do for them, like personally, like emotionally, the gap's going to go like this. And then I'm going to ask them what happens emotionally to you if you stay on the same path. And now I've got a gap like this. And that's when I can get them, I can agitate this problem enough to put them into a buying a buying state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very short preparation, 1, 2, 3 steps. It's more than sufficient. Boom, what we're going to do is this. That's going to help you do this. We're going to do this. That's going to solve this. And the third thing is this, and that's going to solve this. Then that's it.
And then you close.
Couple of closing questions, and then I'm into objection handling. And I prefer to think of objection handling as a part of a call, so that I'm not surprised and frustrated when they do have a question, they do have a concern, they do have a doubt, they do have a hesitation, because it's going to happen.
Yeah, even though I have a question here to you, Alan, to look what you think, because many high ticket closer that they are like the best of the market, they say that if you do a good job, there is not objection handle. So what do you think about this, man?
All right. Okay. So
be honest, please. Be honest.
No, of course. So if you get good enough at golf, you should hit a hole in one on every hole. If you run the right lines and run the right passes in soccer, you should just walk the ball into the net with no resistance every time. But that's not how it works, is it?
Yeah.
And so you can do everything you can to handle objection before it comes, but it's going to happen. You can't handle every single thing at every single point. That's utopical. And the problem is, and this is what I see as well, is that there are sales trainers, sales managers even, that will tell you if you do everything right, they won't have an objection. So what happens is when I do get an objection, I get frustrated and I think I'm doing it wrong. I'm not good enough. I need to learn harder. I need to learn more. I need to study harder. Yes, you do, but not because you're not good enough, because these are just human beings. They have a concern. They have a question. They have doubt. They have hesitation. They have fear. It's natural. They're human. They can't help it. 10% of people are coming on a call ready to buy. They already decided before the call. 10% were never going to buy. That leaves you 80% in the middle that need help with this decision. And so whilst we can do everything we can to help them make that decision before we present, all I want is for them to commit to their goal and take responsibility for it. Then I present. But if I just expect an objection to happen, it helps because I just see, okay, this is just a part of the call. And so I train for it. And second thing is, sales trainers will also tell you, if you get everything right and you do all these things before, it'll be an objection that's closed. I know why they're saying that. It's because they don't know how to handle objections. If they tell you you don't need to learn that, it's because they don't know how to teach it. And so I was very, very fortunate to be trained by probably one of the best sales guys in the industry, Bill Walsh, in the objection box, who learned objection handling first and then learned how to sell. Because he was like, well, if this is where the decision is made, well, let me figure this bit out first. And so for me, if I just take it as a normal part of the call, and then I have a script, I have a framework, I have a process that I use, and with a deep understanding of why I'm doing it, and I really can hear what's going on, I'm going to enjoy my sales calls more. I'm going to be able to relax more.
Yeah, it's not that for example, sorry, man, you want to finish?
Nope, I was done.
Okay, it's not that if you train yourself to handle objection, you will create that at your call. That is not true for you. I have written that if you training all the time objection handling, you will create that reality in your sales call. And this is like, I don't know, man.
So it's funny. I'd love to see the science. I'd love to see the data on that. I think that's just, I think that's made up bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I sit here and think about a question, like, you're going to then ask it to me? No, you came with your questions already. Like, you've lived your life before you met me. I'm just a vehicle in this, you know? So no, I don't think that training for an objection creates the objection. I think it creates confidence in yourself and your process and relaxation and no spike in cortisol and no blaming and no internal self-flagellation and self-punishment when it does happen. Because now I know if they say, cool, let me go and think about it, I'm like, okay, cool, I know how to handle this. Yeah. What happens if you don't is you're sitting on the call and all you're fucking thinking about is, don't fucking tell me I need to think about it. Don't give me shit today. Don't do this. And your ass is getting tighter, your shoulders are coming up, you're leaning into the screen.
And your energy also.
and your energy as well. You're an uncertain person helping an uncertain person in a very uncertain situation.
Yeah,
So
and that create objection.
Now that's going to create an objection, in my opinion.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But that's only personal. Once I learned how to handle objections, you can relax. Like, you're chill, you're fine. You just know, I just need to get the ball close enough to the green, and I can putt it in from anywhere. That's confidence. Then you can relax, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, talking about this is really interesting. I have a question for you, but now I have forgotten. It was really interesting also. It's about objection handling. I just forget, man. Okay, no problem. Okay, but this one was, for example, this is another thing that I have here, and also happened to me, to be honest, as a closer, that you have this good belief at some point that you have to close in one call and in the first call. But what happens if doesn't happen? So you blame yourself and you think you are not doing a good job. So what do you think about this?
If something isn't a universal truth and it doesn't abide by the laws of the universe, it's an opinion. It's a belief system. And so anybody that tells you you should be closing them in one call has an opinion. They have a belief system around that. And that's okay. We just need to understand it's not a universal truth. Somebody that says you should never burn the bridge and always book a follow-up, that's their opinion, that's their experience. That's their belief system. That's okay. It's not a universal truth. It depends on the person, depends on the product, depends on the avatar, depends on the ticket size. It depends on the marketing beforehand. Have they just come from clicking on an ad and appeared on my calendar? They're probably going to need a little bit of more information before they make a really big purchasing decision. Right? If they've had a lot of warm-up and a lot of nurture, maybe this call should be considered a decision call, and that's okay. And so it depends. It depends on the place, depends on the time, depends on the person. And I think that comes with age and maturity and a little bit of longevity in the sales space to understand, is it worth now, jujitsuing this person into submission and getting them to say yes, only for them to feel a little bit bad about it, a little bit nervous, a little bit hesitant? Is it better that this person takes a little bit of time? They take the time to breathe, and they take the time to review things, because that's their kind of way of making decisions. Or do I sense that this person is wanting and needing to do this, but they are deciding to delay it through fear or hesitation? That's someone I want to help. That's someone I want to help make a decision right now. But I think it takes time to. So all those statements are true. None of them are the whole truth.
I like it. I really like it, man. Yeah. So, to change the topic, but is it at sales training, call, and all that? How much do you think that a closer? I think that you are a really realistic guy, and I really like it, man, because you talk with data, with analysis, and all these kind of things that are so important to not just like fall in opinions. So how much money do you think that a closer can make? I know that it depends, but what is the top, for example? So do you think that a closer can make 1 million per month in commission?
And who's to say anything's not possible? If you're selling businesses, sure.
Yeah, maybe. Or
get one of those to drop every month, So yes. What are maybe more realistic expectations in the current climate and the current landscape of high ticket closing? The data says that at the moment, the average high ticket closer is earning $67,400. So that's taking into account the whole industry, the different offers, price points, ticket sizes, income, etc. It's very much not what people got into high ticket sales for, not what they were suggested was possible from the sales trainers and the the courses and the gurus that got them into high ticket sales, who were making very lavish promises that then were just, I don't even want to say they couldn't deliver on, because I know what happens is they then say, well, it's on the person to create the result. I can only give the information. And there's a part of that that's true, yes. But if you make a claim, if you make a promise, or you suggest and insinuate a promise, then you should be helping people to realistically achieve that to the best of your ability. The top 10th percentile in high ticket closing at the moment is earning $220,000 per year. So that's just under $20,000. It's certainly possible. It depends wildly on the offer, the price point, the marketing of that offer, the stability, the longevity of it, the nicheness of it, the credibility of the offer. There's so many factors in play that also, with the high influx of closers coming into the space, the saturation and competitiveness is making closers very commoditized. And so what that means to me is that it's getting increasingly harder to find and land offers and be able to join and partner with the company on those offers. And people are going to great lengths to do this. I've been seeing the posts, like, now that I've burst the bubble, I've looked outside of the high ticket space, and I'm helping closers to transition into a statistically incredibly lucrative industry.
Yeah.
I can't unsee it. People posting these wins about landing a role that it's 2 paragraphs long, and they're showing how creative they had to get, and they had to find the number of this person and message that person, and they kept on persisting, and they wouldn't answer back. So 2 weeks later, I was like, wow, I see the effort. I salute the hustle. I just now see, like, wow, it's getting hard. There's other guys, some other people saying, all of the different attributes that you have to have a good, really strong network, a personal brand, good content, great interviewing skills, great background, this, that, and the other. The list went on and on and on and on and on. I was like, wow, it's getting increasingly harder. And that's the nature of the business. What happens is, when a market grows very quickly, I saw this with CrossFit. CrossFit had a big boom. And so when it grows very quickly, it grows very wide. It grows in volume and numbers. And it very naturally contracts and shrinks for only the top to the best to then survive, right? And so CrossFit gyms could just open up and just throw in a few barbells, and people would sign up. And then all of a sudden, those that were taking better care of their customers, that had a good onboarding and ramp-up system for CrossFit, for learning the skill, who had better training, who had better equipment, who had better facilities, they started taking the market share, and all of those members would go to them. I think it's happening in high ticket now as well. It had a boom, it's gone wide, and now the best of the best will rise to the top. It's just getting increasingly harder to get to the top. Does that mean it's not a worthwhile venture? No. I've always pursued to be the best. I didn't just play rugby. I had to play professionally. I had to play internationally. I had to be captain. I had to be, like, I've always wanted to be the best. But sometimes you got to think to yourself, do I really want to be the best here? Or is there maybe somewhere else where me trying to be the best is going to get me further than it is here? Yeah. And that's what I've been deep into research recently. Very
okay. Deep. And in terms of percentage, how much do you think that depends? For example, when we're talking about how much money can you make, you say a lot of things. It depends on the offer, on the market, or the environment. So if you have to put numbers, how much percentage goes for environment, how much for your sales abilities, how much for you as a person, how much for you, I don't know, to all the things that you consider that are important?
Yeah. Trying to get me in trouble, get some hate in the comments. So personal opinion, anecdotal personal opinion.
Yeah, personal.
Between 80 and 90% marketing. The market, the product and the marketing. If I can sell something that very eloquently solves a big problem to a target market that is affluent and wealthy and has the money and wants to solve this problem, and they are so well educated, informed, and nurtured before they speak to me, I ain't got to do a whole lot, dude. Like, for real now.
Yeah.
I'm going to make money. Now, the other
Yeah.
10 to 20% is going to be how well I understand the avatar, how well I understand the product, how well I understand the problems and the thoughts going on inside that person's head, to be able to speak to that, to help them make the decision. For the 80% in the middle that might not be decided yet. From what I've seen, though, you can have all of that in the world if people are just hitting a cold ad and then landing on my calendar. Whew, the amount of skill that I need to be able to convert someone into that is possible, but harder, an awful lot harder. And so I'm going to be very controversial. I say 80 to 90% comes down to the product and the marketing.
No, but it's okay, man. It's your opinion, and you are working on this a long years ago. So it's an opinion, not just because you wake up today and you say, well, I'm gonna say this. It's because you have been working on this in the last year. So it has, like, I don't know how to say, but in Spanish it's like tiene peso lo que decís.
It carries weight. Yeah, what you say carries weight.
Yeah,
I haven't. And I haven't met too many people in high ticket sales that would come and fight me anyway. So I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
There's a few. Yeah. There's a few out there. I know a couple.
But I have a controversial question also.
Go on, then. You want to fight me? You want
to? No. Okay, so you say that marketing is 80 or 90%. So if that's true, why is so important to invest a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy in being the best that you can be on sales? It's a good question.
It's a very good question. I think it still makes a difference then within the environment. So let's say you have 10 people on an offer with a 10 out of 10 marketing. Those 10 people will still get different results. The 10th person will still have less skill or less conviction or less whatever it is than the top one. There'll still be a difference. So it still makes a difference. I personally think that the value of those trainings, of those mentorships, of those programs and environments is still the personal side of it. It's still the personal development. It's the eye-opening, mind-expanding revelations, learnings, lessons that you get.
Also spiritually
as well. Exactly. So you get to be confronted with, trials and tribulations and things about your character and personality that you want to be changed. I was very, very keen for people to like me on sales schools when I first started. And that was something that was mirrored to me, that was not helping and not serving, that I got a chance to work on. That was phenomenal. That was so worth it. And it's carried over into many aspects of my life that have got so much better since that, since I was able to overcome that to the extent that I've been able to. So I think it's important. It's still important because of the skills that you acquire and the character traits that you acquire and the people that you meet, because then you get to meet this guy and that leads to this conversation and this opportunity. And so it's definitely still worthwhile. I just don't think that it's the thing that decides your income. It's not. It's true that it does. It's not. It's just not the whole truth. It's true. It's not the truth.
Yeah. Absolutely. For example, today, man, when you work with different offers, you also not just work at the sales abilities on the sales team. You also, for example, I don't know, give suggestions to the marketing group onto things to get better at that point on the marketing. What happened before the call, or you just work with the people? What happens in the call?
Yeah. So as my first offer as a sales manager, I was taking care of the sales team. I would focus just purely on what was happening on the call.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because it was my first opportunity. What I had to say didn't carry as much weight as it does now through not as much exposure. This last year, through the Done For You sales agency, where we were working with multiple different offers, 90% of my time was spent with the owner talking about pricing, offering, positioning, marketing, ads, funnels, copy, pre-call resources.
Wow.
I was doing almost everything except running a sales team, which actually led me to step away from that role and from that business, because that just wasn't. I just didn't enjoy that. Like, I can do it. I know enough about it for it to work. We took one offer from zero, brand new offer to market, to $1 million in revenue in May, June, July, August, September. 6 months. In 6 months. And that was a brand new offer to market. And so we built out the whole process. We're heavily involved in the appetite, in the marketing, the funnel, and the ads, and the messaging and the avatar. So, you could do it, but that was hard work, man. I just didn't enjoy that. I was like, that's not my jam. That's not my thing. And so I myself as an agency owner experienced the same troubles as a lot of closers experience, with unpredictable offers, unreliable owners, marketing people that don't seem to understand marketing for some reason. They think that marketing is just generating calls. Like,
absolutely.
I can get someone to click on a calendar link, but that doesn't mean they're ready to buy.
Absolutely, man. And also what happened is that the people sometimes doesn't know that the call is to take a decision. They just think that the call is give me information. That's why I'm booking this call. And you need to do a lot of work there.
Book a free strategy session. JD Daly from Undeniable Closer Mastermind is the only guy I've ever seen that actually gives someone a strategy on a strategy session. The entire industry has never seen a free strategy from a strategy session, which I'm glad people, I think, are moving away from in marketing, because people just see through it. It's just misleading, misguiding. We went through the same troubles as closers did, and that's why I've been very, very heavily involved in helping closers transition into, or give them options and give them a different option into a different industry now. I know the problems, I know the struggles, I know they're there.
Hey man, do you have more time, or you need to go in 2 minutes?
I have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. And then you're gonna go.
I have another call at the top of the hour. Yeah.
No problem. So we're gonna do another podcast, because I wanna that you can talk about this new opportunity if you want, for sure. To just close the call, what is the best suggestion that you can give to a closer that is trying to get better at this particular time, or how is the market, the difficult, the harder? So what is your suggestion?
Yeah, so I think it depends on where you're at in your journey. I feel that if you are in your first year of high ticket sales, don't be afraid to eat a bit of shit. Don't be afraid to change your expectations a little. Don't be afraid to take on roles that aren't perfect, but they tick enough boxes for it to be worthwhile to learn and to grow on there. Don't just take any old. I'm not saying that. Don't take the first offer that gets presented to you. Don't get desperate, because desperate people make desperate decisions, and it can even hurt your confidence, your reputation, etc. moving forward. So what I'm saying is, don't worry too much about the outcome. Worry more about what you're doing, about your habits, your mindset, your learnings. What are you reading? What are you listening to? How are you developing? Do you feel that you're getting better? Can you feel that you're getting more in tune with the space, with sales, with psychology, with everything? I would focus on mastering the craft, learning as much as you can, getting to know as many people as possible, and just being a really active participant in this game. Don't sit back and expect something to come towards you. Get involved, get in there, stick your elbows out a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, just get involved, man. If you've been in the high ticket space for 3+ years, and you are sick of this struggle, you are sick of the unfulfilled promises, the false OTEs that, on target earning expectations that are set, you are tired of marketing crashing every 2.3 months, of offer owners pivoting every 4.7 months on average, of starting from 0 to 3.5 to 4 times a year, of it costing you between $12,000 and $27,000 in lost revenue on average every single time that happens. I would encourage people to look at, is there a possibility that it's maybe not just me? If I've been with for 3 years plus now, cool. Can I get better? Can I get more astute? Can I get smarter? Can I learn from these lessons a bit better? Yes, of course, we always can. But has it come to a point where I've spent multiple 5 figures, maybe even 6 figures in sales training and development? Is there a possibility that I'm just playing in the wrong arena? And so I would encourage you to explore that, so that you don't turn self-responsibility into self-blame and into self-degradation of, I'm just not good enough, I'm not cut out for this. because I've been there, and I think a lot of people have been there, and it's not good for your mental health. It's genuinely not. I guarantee if I would ask people who've been in sales for 3 years plus how many have had mental struggles, I guarantee, I should probably do another round of market research on this. I guarantee 8 to 9 out of 10 are going to say yes. And that's, that's something that I just want to make sure people are aware of, that maybe there are outside factors. Maybe there is a place where what you have can yield you a bigger reward. And I would love to come on another podcast and talk more about that. Really, really would.
Yeah. We're going to do it, man. So thank you so much for your time. It was absolutely a pleasure for me having you here. The last thing, bro, I know that you go. Where the people can find you?
Medellin, Colombia. They want to come and fucking fight.
Absolutely. When are you going to come to Buenos Aires, bro? Come on.
Yeah, fuck, dude. That was actually on the plan this year, but then Medellin got too nice. So
we're going to drink some mates.
Maybe BA. We'll maybe get there. So best place to find me is on Facebook. It's Adam Paul Taylor. There was a fake account going around. So if you see that 0 followers and all that, that's not me. And especially if that guy offers you crypto, don't fucking take any of his crypto. I ain't got no crypto to give out, man. So, Adam Paul Taylor on Facebook, or Adam_Paul_Taylor on Instagram. Best place to find me. And on YouTube, it's Adam Paul Taylor as well. Adam_Paul_Taylor. And I'll be producing a lot more content. There's some cracking videos on there for helping people, give sales managers, sales and closers. And there'll be a lot more content coming on this new opportunity very, very soon. Those are 3 places to find me.
Awesome, bro. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to do next podcast, okay?
We'll do round 2, man. No stress.
Bye-bye, bro.
Thanks for having me. Cheers, man. Bye-bye.